Right. All right. Excuse me. Well, that other one's drying, and I've got the edges done on this one, and the gum trag's dried. I'm going to go ahead and do some stitching. Now, I've already locked the needle onto this end, and I've threaded the needle through the eye on this one. I didn't think y'all would want to watch me threading the needle. How I lock it on? Pull some extra through. I use my thumbnail to make a flat spot, and then I use that flat spot against my work surface, put the needle against it, and pull up on the tail. And the needle pierces the thread. Pull that down, pull that through, pop it over, locked on. These are 3/0 needles. And the thread I'm using is Tandy wax cord. Make sure I don't have a knot there. Alright. Let me get doing some stitching. Now on this one I am going to cast it over because I want it to look good. And I want to get that angle on the threads. He asked for white thread, and that's what he's going to get. Put it in, give it a wiggle, 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 and pull it on through. Now I'm going to even up my two ends. There's a lot of people that have formulas as to how much thread to use. I just pull it off the spool and until it looks like that's about enough. Okay, and there's lots of videos on how to stitch leather, so I'm not going to go into a big to-do about that. But I will say that you want each and every stitch to be exactly the same. Now on this side I'm casting over because my holes are going up and away. Pull that snug, give it a tug, go on to the next one. Now since I pre-punch all my holes, they have closed up a bit, but I found that if I just stick the needle in, wallow it around a little bit, it opens up the holes enough to get my stitching done. And I'll just do a few more here. Goes in the hole, waller, 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 waller. This needle goes on top, pull it through. My next needle, when I put it in the hole, goes on top. Give this one a tug to make sure I didn't pierce it, and I didn't. Cast it over, push, pull, click, click. Tug. And I'll do the same thing for each and every stitch. Now some people, they can really buzz right along on this, and I guess if my hands worked a little better, I could too. My wife can. She's done some stitching for me too. She's very good at it. Well, I'm going to keep out this, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how I finish it off. Okay, we finished the stitching. Got both sides stitched, and I backstitched a few on this side, trimmed them off and melted them ready. Do the same thing on this side, but I haven't trimmed it off yet. So let's get to it. Take my scissors, just a good quality pair of scissors that'll actually cut them. Be careful not to cut your fingers. And snip them off. I leave about that much left. This is garbage now. Take your lighter, and I'll tilt it away a little bit so I don't scorch the leather, and melt them down. And there you go. This guy still has to dry for a while. So I'll set him aside and get back to work on this one. Now the glue has time to set. I've taken it out to my garage and I have a sanding drum on a drill press. And I went ahead and sanded all the edges. But it leaves these flappy bits on it. Those will have to come off because I need a nice edge for my next step, which is going to be putting in my stitch groove. I don't always stitch groove on holsters. I'll do the outside because that's where you get most of your wear, but the inside's pretty much protected. So I'll just take my little knife, this one's my favorite knife, and cut these little flappy bits off. Now I'm sure there's plenty of you out there that just go ahead and cut them off with your edge beveler. But since I'm going to need my edge for my stitch groover, I'm not going to bevel them yet until I get that groove in. And that gives me a nice square edge to work off of. Let me get this other side too. Okay. Now we can go ahead and do our stitch grooving. One side. Now let's do the other side. Now I've already grooved it across here, but that's to make the border for my stamping. Got it unsightly a little bit here. Okay. And get our stitch groove around this end. A little bit that needs to come off right here too. Just cut it with the pointy little knife. Be careful not to cut my finger. And off it comes. Now it's time to bevel the edges. try to blend it in to where you've already beveled it and burnished it. Okay, get the other side. And do the back as well. Now I've seen some fellas just go right around a curve and just whew, cut it right off. I'm not able to do that. If you can do that, that's great. I'm jealous. Okay. We've got our stitch groove grooved. We got our edges beveled. And now I need to put some stitch holes in. So I'll start at a corner. First, I'll get my cutting board. Use my big mallet and put it right at an apex. Put it all the way through. And continue on around. Now, what I'll also do is start at the bottom, start at an apex. Yeah, that's good. And go around that way too. Okay. I'm going to be banging on this for a little while. I'll come back to you.